Back by unpopular demand. Hey Deckers, it's Liam here. We have officially crossed the big one. Steam Deck Playable and Verified has now passed over 10,000 titles. At time of recording, we're looking at 10,020 titles across 6,541 playable and 3,479 verified. However, there is also 3,113 that are noted to be Steam Deck unsupported. Now, these numbers, of course, are only what Valve have actually gone through and checked in some way. You can, of course, download and attempt to play anything. This is only around 2 months after hitting 9,000, so progress continues to be pretty good there on compatibility. And the list of games that are Steam Deck compatible, when you look at it, is pretty mind-blowing overall. You can jump into the likes of God of War, Last of Us, Apex Legends, and so much more, all in the palm of your hands. The Steam Deck has really helped push this idea of handheld PC gaming. And clearly Valve are in it for the long term as well. They only just recently hired another open source contractor to work on graphics drivers for Linux. I'm probably going to get their name wrong, but they have hired Alyssa Rosenzweig, and they were contracted back in May that we only found out about recently. They're contracted directly to work on graphics drivers for Linux gaming. And with the Steam Deck using Linux as the operating system, we're hopefully going to see continued improvements there for both the Steam Deck and desktop Linux. Valve has quite a few open source contractors working on lots of different things now, so it's really fun to see all that open source work improve things for everyone. Speaking of improvements and their open source work, there was a fresh Proton experimental upgrade released on the 24th of June, adding in these newly playable titles of 21st Century Basketball and Oddworld Stranger's Wrath HD. There's a whole bunch of bug fixes as well that include fixing up an issue with the EA app yet again, sometimes not launching after an update. They fixed the scroll bar in the Final Fantasy XIV online launcher. They fixed Grounded not being playable on desktop Linux, which I checked and yep, it works. They fixed up The Witcher 3 showing the taskbar after Alt and Tab on the XFCE Linux desktop environment with certain resolutions. They fixed the Dwarf Fortress SDL2 beta crashing on launch. And one that was affecting a lot of people, they fixed periodic stuttering in Street Fighter 6 when you're playing without internet for a longer period of time. They continue fixing up Proton 8 regressions as well. This time they solved an issue with the debug console in Scrap Mechanic. That should work again. And for Linux desktop users with NVIDIA GPUs, the NV API that helps the likes of DLSS was enabled for many more titles, including Atomic Heart, Baldur's Gate 3, Demonologist, Icarus, Layers of Fear, Severed Steel, Showgunners, Strayed Lights, Void Train, and Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. Valve also released another update to Proton Experimental on June 27th to fix up more Proton Experimental regressions. So they fixed keyboard input in Football Manager 2023. Street Fighter 6 no longer errors out between online matches. And Grounded can host online games once again. Now, once again, moving over to looking at the sales of the Steam Deck. We're looking at the global sales list available on Steam. Anyone can go and look at it. And the Steam Deck has actually risen back up one place to 5th after dropping to 6th in the previous week due to multiple popular new game releases. This is with BattleBit Remastered continuing its massive popularity, and this week we also had the 6 Days in Fallujah release, which seems to also be selling quite well. This is all interesting, at least to me, because my primary focus, of course, on this channel is Linux and Steam Deck specifically, because it means that so far the ROG Ally release about 2 weeks ago hasn't done that much to change the overall sales of the Steam Deck. There were people saying, as they do in clickbait, that it would be a Steam Deck killer. However, as I mentioned while being a guest speaker on a recent Steam Pals video, the only really likely things that will kill Steam Deck sales are a Steam Deck 2 or Valve just moving away from it, and potentially given enough time when it's just not worth it to pick up anymore, but we're a long way away from that. Now, for anyone wanting to mod their Steam Deck shell, Extreme Rate have put up even more colour variations. Now you can get the full front and back plate in clear green, clear red and clear blue, and they really do look just awesome. I'm still not buying them though. It's just too stressful to replace that front shell. Too many little things that I could screw up. I don't trust myself to do it because you've got to take the entire thing apart. So if anyone wants to come over and do it for me, let me know. And I'm only partially joking on that. I really do want to replace it, but I just can't do it. There's even more Steam Deck modding news this week as Coloured Controllers, who were one of the first to provide those high-quality Steam Deck trackpad covers, are working on special artisan button replacements. It's a bit of a teaser, so it's one to keep an eye on, because I'm quite excited to see what sort of button replacements they can come up with. Something else to keep an eye on is the Charge Disk. It's a really compact and portable M2 SSD enclosure that you can just plug directly into a Steam Deck and various other devices. It's a really sweet idea, and it's currently crowdfunding on Kickstarter, and it's clearly popular with a lot of people funding the idea. This could be a really great way to expand your storage on the go, and I certainly love the look of it. So how about some game news now, starting with the ridiculously popular Vampire Survivors, because it is getting a 4-player local co-op mode. Vampire Survivors is already pure chaos once you get into it, but now it's going to be even more insane, and while it is local couch co-op, it should work fine over remote play together, so you can still technically play online. Next up we have Starfield, because recently Todd Howard of Bethesda spoke to Kinda Funny Games in a video and talked about accessibility features like a large text mode, which Howard specifically mentioned was good for handhelds. Naturally, this led to a question about Steam Deck compatibility, which Howard mentioned they will be talking about further down the line. So there's no real news on that yet, but they are partnering with AMD, and FSR2 is now confirmed for Starfield, so potentially we might be able to get a smooth 30 frames a second as long as the game scales down its settings nicely. How about Gears of War games? Do you like them? Well, Gears 5 had a really little update from the developers, noting that they upgraded it to improve Steam Deck support. So now there should be no issues getting into the campaign and playing it through. However, there is some sort of regression in Proton 8 that makes multiplayer not currently work. So until Valve fix that, you will need to run it with Proton 7 to get the full experience. So just go in the compatibility settings, tick the box, select Proton 7, at least until Valve fix it up. But it's really nice to see another Xbox published title make fixes to Steam Deck. It's kind of wild, really, when you think about it. Another exciting one, at least for me, is the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 is confirmed to be coming to Steam, and there is a Steam page now that's just gone up. It's releasing on October 24th, and it will come with some absolute classics, including Metal Gear, Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, and Metal Gear the NES FC version, and Snake's Revenge. I'm pretty excited to play through those properly on Steam Deck. I have some really fond memories of playing through the original Metal Gear Solid, and having all of those titles just in the palm of your hands on Steam Deck, that's amazing. Finally, Prepare your wallets because the Steam Summer Sale officially begins on Thursday, the 29th of June, and it runs through until July 13th. And during this time, there will, of course, be absolutely thousands of games with huge discounts. So get wishlisting titles that you wish to pick up for Steam Deck, for your desktop, for whatever. But that's it for this week's news video. I hope you found it interesting. Do let me know what you think about it in the comments, and I will see you later.